Your cholesterol is high, so you eliminate the eggs, the butter, the red meat, perhaps the cheese, and the metric barely shifts. Here is the reason, and virtually nobody explains it to you. Most of the cholesterol circulating in your blood does not originate from your diet. Your own liver synthesizes it. It secretes it into your digestive tract every single day inside a fluid called bile. And subsequently, your body turns around and reabsorbs roughly 95% of it right back. You are continuously recycling your own cholesterol over and over. That is the reason discarding one food after another never functioned. What actually succeeds is consuming the foods that capture that cholesterol down in your intestines and drag it out of you before your body can pull it back inside. I am Dr. Eduardo Perez. These represent the 10 finest foods to accomplish precisely that, and several of them operate more swiftly than you might anticipate. Before I provide you with the index, one brief matter. I took everything I share with my personal patients and organized it into one straightforward plan for eating your path toward a stronger, healthier heart past 60. Thousands of individuals are already utilizing it to reclaim their wellness. The link is right there upon your screen if you desire it. Very well, let us dive into the foods. Keep one concept in your mind and this entire index makes sense. Every single food I am about to present you performs one of two functions. It either intercepts the bile in your gut, so you actually excrete the cholesterol instead of recycling it, or it nourishes the beneficial bacteria within your intestines that break cholesterol down so you cannot absorb it. That constitutes the entire mechanism. The greater the presence of these foods on your plate, the more cholesterol departs your body rather than accumulating inside your arteries. And should you seek a target metric, aim for roughly 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber daily. That is what the Mayo Clinic highlights for a genuine reduction. And you will achieve it effortlessly with what follows. There exists an alternative side as well, and it remains straightforward. Saturated fat and refined starch, the fried items and white bread, quietly instruct your body to retain its cholesterol instead of discharging it. Thus, while you are incorporating these 10 foods, easing off that junk is what permits them to genuinely function. One inexpensive measure worth executing first. Inquire of your physician just once for a blood assay designated lipoprotein a. Pronounce it precisely like that. It represents the genetic component of your cholesterol that diet cannot influence. And most individuals never verify it a single time throughout their lifetimes. One test, one single time, and you will recognize whether a hidden hazard lurks beneath your standard numbers. Then get to work upon your plate, because that represents the component you regulate 3 times daily. Let us begin at number 10, garlic. When you crush a raw clove, it liberates a compound named allicin. That is the substance that stints your nose and grants garlic its aroma. Allicin performs 2 functions for your cholesterol. It reduces your low-density cholesterol slightly, and it subdues the low-level inflammation that causes cholesterol to adhere to your arterial walls initially. The National Institutes of Health examined the research, and the impact is real though modest, amounting to a few points. Consequently, garlic serves as an assistant here rather than the primary event. It has likewise been demonstrated to nudge blood pressure down slightly. Therefore, it provides your heart a secondary favor while operating, but it represents an effortless triumph. And there exists a trick to it most individuals overlook. That allicin exclusively develops after you crush or chop the clove and allow it to rest for roughly 10 minutes. If you toss raw garlic straight into a blazing hot skillet, you annihilate it prior to it executing anything. Hence, crush it first. Allow it to sit upon the cutting board while you prepare the remainder of dinner, and incorporate it close to the termination. Should you prefer roasting it, roast it whole within the skin because that preserves the maximum allicin overall. 1 or 2 cloves daily proves sufficient, and bypass the aged black garlic and pickled varieties if cholesterol is your target, because the majority of the allicin has already vanished by the time it reaches you. Number 9. Onions. Onions are laden with a prebiotic fiber termed inulin, and inulin constitutes the exact sustenance those beneficial gut bacteria crave. Nourish them, and they decompose additional bile and assist in expelling it from you. And every fragment of bile you forfeit forces your liver to extract cholesterol from your blood to manufacture more. That represents the loop operating to your benefit. Onions deliver a secondary element as well, an antioxidant designated quercetin, which helps soothe inflammation and has even been linked to marginally lower blood pressure within the literature. The entire onion family counts here: red onions, white onions, leeks, shallots, and garlic. Once more, cooking them is entirely acceptable, by the way. The prebiotic fiber withstands heat. Therefore, a skillet of caramelized onions continues to nourish your gut. And onions perform one additional function individuals forget. They render genuinely wholesome food, the beans and greens, palatable enough that you will actually consume them again tomorrow. That carries greater significance than people acknowledge, because the finest cholesterol food globally accomplishes nothing if it tastes so bland you abandon it within a week. Cook them into whatever you are already preparing, and do not peel away excessive exterior layers, because an abundance of the beneficial properties resides directly adjacent to the skin. Number 8. Broccoli. Broccoli delivers soluble fiber, yet its true mechanism is a compound designated glucoraphanin. When you chop the broccoli, an enzyme converts that into sulforaphane, and sulforaphane activates a protective system within your cells termed NRF2. NRF2 represents your body's innate defense against the daily wear that ages and rigidifies your blood vessels. Researchers at Johns Hopkins have investigated sulforaphane for years and linked it to lower adverse cholesterol and reduced inflammation. And major population studies connect individuals who consume the highest quantities of cruciferous vegetables to diminished heart disease overall. Here resides the step almost nobody executes. Chop your broccoli and allow it to rest for 20 or 30 minutes prior to cooking it. That repose grants the enzyme sufficient time to manufacture the sulforaphane. Should you cook it the instant you slice it, the heat eradicates the majority of the advantage prior to it ever developing. Steam it until it remains merely tender, and avoid boiling it into a gray mush, because boiling leaches the beneficial elements directly out into the liquid. Should you wish to go all in, broccoli sprouts possess substantially greater sulforaphane than mature florets gram for gram. And should you genuinely despise broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts share the identical family and execute the identical function. Number 7. Ground flaxseed. And this stands as the single simplest item upon the entire index to incorporate into your day. Flax represents among the densest sources you can purchase of that gel-forming soluble fiber which traps bile. On top of that, it carries plant-based omega-3s and compounds named lignans, and both of those reduce cholesterol independently. Combine them, and the studies highlighted by the Cleveland Clinic demonstrate ground flax can meaningfully diminish bad cholesterol, particularly when consumed daily. However, there exists one hurdle, and it is a major one, so listen closely. Should you ingest flax seeds whole, they traverse straight through you and you acquire virtually nothing because the hull proves excessively tough for your digestive system to fracture open. They must be pulverized. Purchase them pre-ground or pulverize them yourself utilizing an affordable coffee mill, and preserve them within the refrigerator to keep the oils fresh. 2 tablespoons daily represents the target. Blend it into your oatmeal, your yogurt, a smoothie, sprinkle it over soup, whatever you already ingest. You will not detect the flavor, and it costs practically nothing. Should you lack flax, ground chia seeds represent a respectable substitute operating identically. And consume a slightly heightened volume of water with either option to ensure the fiber executes its function comfortably. Number 6. Apples. That classic adage regarding an apple a day genuinely holds up. Apples are packed with a soluble fiber designated pectin, and pectin intercepts cholesterol down in your intestines and carries it out of you. And tangible evidence exists here, beyond a mere colloquialism. A 2020 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition placed participants on 2 apples daily and observed their low-density cholesterol and triglycerides decline across the weeks. The whole apple delivers a secondary benefit as well. It provides bulk and satiety, meaning you consume one and feel satisfied, rendering you considerably less inclined to seek a cookie an hour subsequently. Merely verify it constitutes the actual fruit. Applesauce possesses a fraction of the fiber, while apple juice retains virtually none, alongside a substantial load of sugar. And that sugar drives upward your triglycerides, representing an alternative blood fat you prefer avoiding. Therefore, consume the complete apple, peel included, because a significant portion of the pectin resides directly within the skin. And apples are not unique. pears, oranges, and even the humble carrot are laden with pectin as well. Consequently, incorporate them. Real quickly, if this proves beneficial, hit subscribe and award the video a like. Requires 2 seconds and it genuinely assists me in continuing to produce these. That concludes that. Number 5. Number 5. Walnuts. The majority of this index focuses on fiber, but walnuts earn their place via an entirely distinct mechanism. They are laden with wholesome polyunsaturated fats, incorporating plant omega-3s. And when that fat supplants the saturated fat you might otherwise snack on, your adverse cholesterol drops and the endothelium of your arteries functions more effectively. The American Heart Association links a compact daily handful of walnuts to diminished heart disease risk. And the literature indicates it proves sufficient to nudge your poor cholesterol downward by a few percentage points. Walnuts contain the highest concentration of that plant omega-3, yet almonds and pistachios diminish cholesterol likewise. Thus, consume whichever variety you will actually maintain in your household. Merely monitor the quantity because nuts are calorically dense. A compact handful, roughly a quarter cup, represents the ideal quantity, rather than the entire bag seated before the television and not the sugary, candied versions. And walnuts provide the appropriate moment to clarify fat because most individuals perceive it backwards. The saturated fat present in heavy cheese, fried items, and packaged pastries executes the exact antithesis of everything on this list. It instructs your gut to retain its bile and cholesterol rather than excreting it. Conversely, the fat found in nuts, olive oil, avocados, and fish actively benefits your heart. It represents the rigid, solid, saturated fat, the kind remaining firm at room temperature, which quietly operates to your detriment. Number 4. Barley. And now we approach the heavy hitters. Barley is laden with a specific soluble fiber termed beta-glucan. And beta-glucan represents the finest bile trap available. It constructs a dense gel inside your intestines and performs its singular function exceptionally well. It is proven robust enough that the FDA permits food manufacturers to print a heart health claim directly upon the packaging. And a review conducted by Ho and colleagues established that barley beta-glucan decreased adverse cholesterol by approximately 7%. The most straightforward approach to utilize it involves a direct substitution. Swap the white rice resting beside your dinner for barley. Alternatively, incorporate a handful into a soup or stew where it thickens everything attractively. You have just transformed a lifeless, fiber-free starch into one of the premier cholesterol instruments you can acquire. Opt for whole barley over pearled barley if accessible, because the pearling process strips away the exterior layer and removes a portion of the fiber. And here resides an advantageous trick functioning for barley or any grain. Cook it, refrigerate it overnight, and consume it the subsequent day. The chilling process converts a portion of the starch into what is designated resistant starch, which nourishes your beneficial gut bacteria and flattens your blood sugar alongside everything else. Number 3. Black beans. Should you consume meat most evenings, this represents your single most impactful maneuver. A couple of evenings weekly, substitute the meat with black beans. Beans deliver soluble fiber alongside resistant starch, and that resistant starch nourishes the bacteria producing butyrate. Butyrate essentially functions as fuel for your intestinal lining and forms part of how your gut maintains cholesterol moving outward rather than re-entering. The evidence supporting beans is robust. A review published within the Canadian Medical Association journal synthesized the studies and discovered that merely a single serving of beans or lentils daily reduced low-density cholesterol by roughly 5%. That constitutes an affordable, plain food, accomplishing what numerous individuals anticipate a pharmaceutical pill will achieve. And I will be candid with you. Beans cause certain individuals mild flatulence during the initial week or two. That merely reflects your gut flora adapting to the novel fiber, and it subsides. A couple of tactics assist. Should you utilize dried beans, soak them overnight and discard that liquid. Should you utilize canned varieties, rinse them thoroughly. And commence with half a cup and progress upward. Persist through it because the reward proves worthwhile. Number 2. Navy beans. All legumes are advantageous, Yet the pale variants, the navy beans, represent the soluble fiber champions of the entire collection. A single cup contains roughly 19 grams of fiber. That exceeds what most Americans consume throughout an entire day, contained within a single bowl. And that fiber doesn't merely trap bile, it nourishes the entire community of beneficial bacteria we continually revisit. The microorganisms transforming your cholesterol into a composition your body simply cannot reabsorb. It doesn't strictly require navy beans, incidentally. Lentils, chickpeas, kidney beans, pinto beans all operate in the identical direction. Consequently, rotate them through the week to prevent tiring of any individual option. And here resides a detail worth noting. Beans appear in the daily diet of virtually every cohort of the longest-living human populations globally. A distinct reason underlies that reality. Maintain a few cans within the pantry, rinse them thoroughly to diminish sodium and flatulence, and toss a cup into soups, salads, chili, whatever already populates the plate. Economical, unpretentious, monotonous, and it unequivocally functions, which explains precisely why it secures such a lofty position upon the index. And number 1, the single most thoroughly validated cholesterol food on Earth: oats. Oats carry that identical beta-glucan found in barley, and they possess superior research backing their cholesterol-lowering efficacy compared to virtually any sustenance on the planet. Consume roughly 3 grams of beta-glucan daily, translating to roughly 1 wholesome bowl of oatmeal. And both the Mayo Clinic and the FDA highlight a 5 to 10% reduction in adverse cholesterol across weeks, not years. That represents the swift aspect referenced in this video's title, and it is a truthful statement. Utilize authentic oats, steel-cut or traditional rolled variants, and bypass the sugared instant packets, because the sugar within those works counter to your goals. And should you seek enhanced potency, Oat Bran contains an even greater concentration of beta-glucan than standard oats. Crown the bowl with berries or a spoonful of that ground flax rather than a mound of brown sugar. Sprinkle minor cinnamon upon it, and you have accomplished more for your heart prior to 9 in the morning than a decade of omitting eggs. Now, one final matter promised at the commencement, and it carries significance. Several of you will execute all of this and still observe your numbers remain elevated. You are not executing it erroneously. Roughly 1/3 of individuals represent what we designate superabsorbers. Your genetics essentially program your digestive tract to intercept and recycle every final fragment of cholesterol it can capture. Should you have maintained a clean diet for months while your metric refuses to budge, or if elevated cholesterol runs intensely within your lineage and surfaces even among slender, active individuals, then presume that applies to you. You did not instigate it, your genetics dictated it. And the positive revelation is that genetic absorption represents the exact condition a daily regimen of soluble fiber is engineered to conquer. For you, 3 foods carry the majority of the weight, representing those I highlighted with greatest enthusiasm: oats, barley, and beans. The crucial term is daily, rather than intermittently. That is what forces a stubborn number downward, frequently sufficiently to keep you off an auxiliary pharmaceutical. And an additional instrument engineered specifically for absorbers exists: plant sterols and stanols. These represent compounds competing with cholesterol for absorption within your gut, obstructing a portion from penetrating. You will discover them incorporated into distinct spreads and orange juice alongside minor quantities within nuts, seeds, and vegetable oils. Roughly 2 grams daily can diminish bad cholesterol an additional 10% or so, representing a tangible impact. Should you be a superabsorber, that merits discussion with your physician. And individuals frequently question me, how rapid is rapid? Should you execute this consistently, your adverse cholesterol can initiate descending across roughly 2 to 4 weeks, continuing its improvement subsequently. One factor to understand, however, your cholesterol persists within your bloodstream across several days at a time. Therefore, eating wholesomely for 2 days immediately preceding a blood assay will not fabricate a favorable metric. It represents the daily routine across weeks that genuinely shifts it. One final effortless triumph prior to parting. Should you wish to intercept additional bile, a spoonful of unflavored psyllium husk blended into a glass of liquid constitutes the purest soluble fiber accessible. It represents the identical substance present in most of those retail fiber supplements. Consume it once daily, accompanied by ample fluids, and it operates concurrently with everything on this index. One candid observation prior to concluding, because it matters. Food is potent, yet it functions alongside your physician. Should your cholesterol be extremely elevated, or if you have previously encountered a cardiac scare, or if you are currently taking a statin, please do not discontinue anything or bypass an appointment because an internet creator instructed you to consume oats. Bring this information to your physician instead. Inform them you desire to grant dietary changes a genuine, honest trial and request a reevaluation of your metrics within several months. For numerous individuals, these sustainings suffice independently. For others, they provide the margin allowing a low dosage to finalize the objective. Either way, diet establishes the foundation beneath all of it. Should you modify only a single item tomorrow, alter breakfast. A bowl of oats accompanied by a spoonful of ground flax, and you are already assaulting that recycling loop, keeping your metrics stagnant for years. And should 10 items feel overwhelming to coordinate, do not overthink it. Oats at morning, beans at evening, alongside a handful of nuts and an apple intermittently. Execute that most days, and you have essentially covered the entire index. Commence there, incorporate the remainder progressively, and allow your body finally to discharge the cholesterol it has retained. Should this prove beneficial, subscribe so subsequent installments locate you, and leave a comment communicating which sustenance you are initiating with. Take excellent care of that heart of yours. It has been laboring on your behalf this entire duration. Provide it with wholesome fuel,